NATO Secretary General had a rather blunt warning for America's allies today. He said that if they don't make a bigger contribution to the Afghan mission, they risk eroding the transatlantic alliance. However, Anders Fogh Rasmussen stressed that right now, NATO stands behind the American position.
First, NATO's commitment to this mission is as strong as ever. Second, that our effort in Afghanistan is helping to keep us safe and to make the lives of Afghans better so that extremism cannot get rooted in this country. And third, that we will stay as long as it takes to finish the job.
Joining us now in Washington is defense policy analyst Chuck Peña. He's a senior fellow with the Independent Institute. Good afternoon, Chuck.
Good afternoon.
So this is the 8th anniversary of the U.S.-led invasion in Afghanistan. There have been 900 American troops lost so far, 131 Canadians. In terms of achieving the goal that was established in routing the Taliban, what would you say has been accomplished over the past 8 years?
I think the best that can be said is that we have partial success. We removed the Taliban regime, the previous Taliban regime that was in power, that was giving safe haven to Al-Qaeda. And we no longer have a government in Afghanistan that does support Al-Qaeda. But we did miss with bin Laden and Al-Qaeda senior leadership, who we presume fled and is across the border in Afghanistan. And so now the question for the Obama administration is, how much longer does the United States stay? I mean, when do you say mission accomplished? Is it possible to say mission accomplished now? Or do we have to engage in nation building and have a stable democracy in Afghanistan, which was the goal of the Bush administration in Iraq?
Well, that, for sure is what President Obama is dealing with as he huddles with his war cabinet to determine the way forward. So what possible strategies might the White House pursue, given that, the Taliban, the insurgents still seem to be in heavy pursuit themselves over in Afghanistan, and it's constantly a fight against them at this point for all the troops on the ground? Well,
I think that we have to make some important distinctions. I mean, we say the Taliban as though the Taliban is this monolith, and it's really not. There probably are elements of the Taliban that you could negotiate with and fold into the government if the Karzai government felt inclined and empowered to do. There are certainly other elements of the Taliban that would welcome with open arms Al-Qaeda, and certainly those are elements that we don't want participating in Afghan society or Afghan government. But we also have to remember the Taliban is not the threat to the United States. It's Al-Qaeda. And the goal, I think, strategically needs to be to prevent Al-Qaeda from having a safe haven operating area from where they can pose a direct threat to the United States. And as long as the Karzai government is not giving them that, that may have to be good enough. It may not be perfect, but it may be good enough to say that, well, we've achieved our strategic goals.
Well, the move into Afghanistan occurred after 9/11 and in hot pursuit over Osama bin Laden. We haven't heard much about him lately. Is he still a goal in the American agenda?
Well, I think he's more of a figurehead type of goal, emotional goal. It would be great to get bin Laden. But it's probably not going to make a huge difference in whether or not there's a terrorist threat to the United States. It doesn't appear that Al-Qaeda is the same kind of threat that it was on 9/11. And now we're dealing with the larger problem of Islamic radicalism and militancy, where we're looking at homegrown threats and threats that aren't even connected to bin Laden, Al-Qaeda Central, or any of the training camps that previously existed in Afghanistan. So it's a whole new ball game. A whole different strategy has to be crafted to deal with the threat because it's evolved.
All right, Chuck Peña, thank you for your thoughts this afternoon.
You're welcome. Thank you.